Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rod's Tabletop Hoops. Today we're going to have a battle between two competing games that offer college basketball teams, NCAA teams that is. And one is shown right here. It's called Bank Shot Basketball, new in 2023. And the opposing team, the opposing game, so to speak, is going to be CB2K Basketball by Andy Vecellio. Now, I put a box of Andy Vecellio's game right here where the bank shot box is, but truly, I ordered it as a PDF, and I do not believe they have an official game box with any kind of game logo or anything. And if I was going to show off the box, it would probably look something like this. I say that because Andy's brother, Mark Vecellio, puts together a wonderful NBA game called Hoops Tabletop Pro Basketball, and every time I've received game parts, FACs, game boards, instructions, whatever, they come in a box about this size, a little bit smaller than the bank shot box, but very plain and white. And old Jim Mickey of Fast Break Basketball used to have a saying, it's not about fancy boxes, it's what is inside the box that matters, and I totally agree with that. If you have a nice fancy box but a game that is not fun to play, doesn't flow well, has clunky components or poor quality components, you're not going to have any fun, and that fancy box is going to be worth, about as much as APA Pro Basketball was worth back in the 1960s, 70s, and early 1980s. So, anyhow, this is the CB2K box that I will use as a demonstration for this video. Going back to the regular box, which is far more catchy to the eye, the Bank Shot Basketball box is just amazingly simple and appealing. A very well thought out box. It's got the Bank Shot Basketball name on almost every single side of the box, except on this side right here, it's called Bank Shot Basketball, which is okay. It's all right. It still is a cool looking box. Black color, white lettering, easily recognizable. So on that account, comparing these two games, Bank Shot gets a victory in terms of design and appeal of the game box. Okay, we move from the game box to discussion to what's inside the box. Now, once again, I went with the PDF version of CB2K. You can print out the game instructions. The manual's about 11 pages long, actually 12 with a signature page with Andy Vecellio's signature on it. The Bank Shot box, they've got that. This will be black and white, and the instructions are pretty easy to read. If you have played Hoops Tabletop Pro Basketball, you will not have too much of a difficulty picking up on many of these schemes, although I have encountered a couple differences that have impacted a couple of my games, and I've got to continue to brush up on them. As far as Bank Shot goes, they did add a little bit of color to these things. You can see that they've got some nice color sample cards on the front. Luca, a Team Fast Break card, press card, a typical action deck card, and the back of a fast break deck card as well to show you exactly what each card looks like. It's got pretty simple instructions. You do have to read them quite a bit though, because there are certain things that apply, say assists, certain rebounds, what is a card move or a clock move, and there's just a few tricky things to do. I'm only a few games in, and I still have things to learn about Bank Shot Basketball. Here's a simplified version just for college. They've got a college, and they also have the NBA as well. I must mention, this is a college comparison review in many ways. I do not own any Bank Shot Basketball NBA teams, but he is producing NBA seasons. This game is still, Joe Bryan's game is still in its infancy. It's going to take a while to populate the seasons of past cards for both NBA and for those college sets we will get into pretty soon. So, but anyway, this quick start guide is kind of nice. It kind of gives you some quick ways to get into the game without having to think too hard. There's also a score sheet as well, which I don't use because I'm doing mine on the computer, but still it's always nice to have a good score sheet. It also has these shiny game boards, which I don't use too often as of the moment because they're a little glossy for doing video, but this isn't looking too bad right here. So you never know in the future. I would probably use this one for a regular play, although I will demonstrate that later as well. As you can see, it gets a little flashy with my lighting in the background. There's also the revolutionary 10-man per team player board. You take your starters for each team. You have the away and the home sides here, and it will automatically substitute players while you play the game. I've not done that as of yet. I don't know if it applies really well for the college game. I think it'd be more suited for the NBA game where there's a little more depth on the benches of the teams. And, those are some extra cards and an extra piece of paper. I was going to get back into the CB2K portion. CB2K, they may not have all of those little details, but they do have a very well-designed game with a really nice instruction booklet that is fairly well laid out. There's a couple of cards to give you some examples of what the cards look like, and these are used throughout the rules to demonstrate when you have a pass situation or a basket pass. I had a rule change I had to fix in my last game. The Wowza game, if you haven't seen that video yet, that's quite an extensive game, pretty darn exciting. And so you can go through these. A lot of this is verification, talks about the action deck. We'll get into the action decks for both games very soon. It describes every column on every card, so we will get into the cards very soon. It also has some features you can add to the game if you really wanted to get additional three-point shots, foul trouble, playing safe, pressing, home court advantage, advanced features. And so that's a cool thing. I'm not going to take away anything from Bank Shot, though, because Bank Shot also has a bunch of advanced features, including playing safe and the various things people like to do, pressing when you're down late in a game. Next, we're going to hit on the fast action cards or play action cards or whatever you would like to call them. As you can see in Bank Shot Basketball, we've got ourselves humongous decks of cards. This is a professional card flipping game. Now, it's not a jab at Bank Shot, but you're going to be flipping a lot of cards in this game, particularly if you play the non-dice version of the game. It has a dice and a non-dice version. The non-dice version is going to entail a lot of referring to the percentage dice number, possibly referring to the 2d6 number, occasionally referring to the 1d6 number. You're going to have fast breaks that are going to be in their own deck, a fast break deck. This is the typical possession card. You're going to have G1 versus defender. It's easy to tell you're going to use the defender's card. It's highlighted. So you're going to use that. You're going to use it for rebounds. You're going to use it for assists. What I learned from a tabletop basketball board games friend named Joe Brooks, he is finding that for college play, 70 cards per 10 minutes is basically what you use. This deck's got about twice as many as that, so you're going to have to count out a certain number of cards and then divide the deck into two halves for the first half. So you're going to have to know that. There will be adjustments based on how the team's pace is. So there's a little bit of setup here. We also have rebound numbers, assist numbers, scorer on assists. And if you have any of those little characteristics for that 20 men on the court playing board, you have that as well. So a lot of cards, and if you are using the dice method, then you do not have to worry about all these percentages. You'll be mostly doing fast breaks or injuries or special question mark readings if you're into that. So by contrast, CB2K, this deck has 100 cards. Very simple. 100 cards, you go through the 100 cards each half, and that is your half. Game pace and game play is moderated within the individual player cards, which we will take a look at very soon. So you'd say you have your first card you turn will be a small forward. You look at the top. The next card you turn over will be whether you're using his offense, the individual player defense, or the team defensive card. And we'll get into those cards in a bit. So the simplicity of these is what makes it incredible. You can get this in PDF format like I did, or you can get it pre-printed out at the ASG Games site. You can get pre-printed cards as well. So I went for the cheap route. I paid $7 to get a historic Final Four from 1983, and I cut each one of these myself, and I'm very happy with the results of them. These cards are great. The game is very fast because you have less card flipping to do. These cards are kind of used multiple times, whereas I was talking about Joe Brooks, he's saying 70 cards. Basically use each card one single time, in almost all cases, and then you'll get the pace that is right, so your team's shots per game will be reasonably close. So in this one, you will use it for team defense. Say it was shooting guard team defense. Use the team defensive card. You force a missed shot, say, and you'll stick to this card and use the rebound number and have a rebound battle there. And if you get an offensive rebound, you can put the ball straight back up. And if you draw a foul, a missed free throw rebound will use your second rebound result right here. So these cards are very versatile. They're very simple. And so it just depends on what your preference is as far as dice or no dice. This is dice only. This will be a dice only mechanism. We'll get into the dice and the cards next with CB2K and Bank Shot Basketball. All right, we're back here, and I'm just going to show off my homemade envelope of the Georgetown Hoyas of 1983-84 NCAA. The reason I put these together is not only to house the cards like that, but I use it as an indicator to show me what the team's record was, where they finished in their conference, and give me general numbers for the players, particularly the starters and or a sixth man. They had Reggie Williams off their bench, but they had Patrick Ewing and Mark Jackson and just David Wingate and Michael Graham. They had a really strong franchise team in college. And I really like having that extra ability just for storage purposes, if anything else. But anyway, their team cards in Joe's Bank Shot Basketball, just like he's done in his other SSG basketball and some of his baseball games, I'm pretty sure he creates a player card for every person who played in a game for Georgetown of this particular year. So let's count how many players there are, because some players might only play 3 games or something. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've seen more. I've seen 15, 16 guys on some of the more modern day teams. But anyway, that's the beauty of it. If you want to play every player that ever played in a game for Georgetown in 1984, this is where you go. You use this type of game. The CB2K, by contrast, PDFs, they come in 2 sheets of 6 cards each, and 11 of those 12 total cards are player cards. So you're not going to get any more than 11 players per any team in CB2K. But that's okay. College basketball, this game focuses on college basketball. It also has some Olympic tournament seasons like 1996, 1992, that type of thing. I'm finding in these, just with these historic Final Four teams, you don't really need much more than 7 or 8 guys. There's a lot of players in college that play 35 to 40 minutes per game. They're missing only 3 or 4 minutes per game. So you really don't need too much of a bench per se, because there's a lot of guys that just go a long distance. The university obviously invested a lot of money and time into recruiting these players, not paying them under the table. I'm not trying to say that, but just a lot of energy. So anyway, there's your 11 players on the University of Houston in 1983-84. So let's break down. So we'll start with CB2K and break down what do these columns and numbers and statistics mean, the CB2K cards are fairly simple. You really just have two columns here. There's an offense and a defensive column. If the play calls for a defensive card, as we've seen on these, there's team defense. If they call for team defense, there's a team defensive card. So all that means is you roll on the team defensive card for that individual player that's trying to make a shot or pass the ball or do whatever. There's offense. If the offense comes up, you're using Michael Young's offensive column. There's a 1 asterisk or better on offense. That refers to this number right here in the corner. He's got a 3 asterisk, so it covers the 1 through 3. So that means he could use his offensive card. Otherwise, that would be passing and moving the ball. CB2K does a pretty good job of replicating the college game, and I will get into this in a minute, of moving the ball from one player to the next. Back in 1983, there was I don't even think they had a shot clock, so I didn't use one in my first couple of games. And it was kind of neat to see 3 or 4 or 5 passes in a couple possessions. Didn't happen too often. You usually get 1, 2, or 3 passes and you get a shot off, much like the pace of college basketball. It's not run up and down basketball like maybe the modern teams are. This is also for the most part, prior to the three-point shot as well. So if you're into stuff that's prior to the three-pointer, CB, 2K, and bank shot will be able to cover that within a limited range. And I'll talk about the teams that are available again in a minute. But anyway, so what I was saying is, here's your card. Top quarter of the card is going to be the name, the year in school, the player's height, how much rest he should receive per game. 5 minutes means that's probably a starter. That's how there's no stats on the cards. So I utilize little cues like that to say, I know Michael Young must start. But that's, once again, it gets me back to the thing. It's like, I wish that there was a team card that would come out, make an additional card just to show some general stats for the players without having to go to Basketball Reference every single time to verify who's the starter, who's not the starter. Go to David Rose. There's the offensive column, the defensive column. Offense, you're getting assists, passes, missed shots where the blank spots are, drawing a 2-shot foul, baskets on 6 and 7, misses on 9 and 10, automatic assists, which is an innovation in modern day basketball games where that shows that player is a playmaker. Whatever position he's playing, he dishes to a player for a clean shot or an easy layup or just a little lob for a dunk. Who knows what it is, but use your imagination. The defensive column is populated only with foul ones, whatever steals the guy average per game, and passes. Maybe they slow the game down a little bit. There might be a pass. Keep passing the ball around. So toward the bottom of the card, you got the NA, which is a pregame injury type thing. You can roll for that to see if that guy gets to play in a game. Clyde played every game, so he's an NA 0. I'm going to see if there's a player here. Alvin Franklin, 2 to 3 and 12. You roll that. I rolled a 3. Well, it looks like Reed Geddes is going to have to start at point guard, with Michael Young instead of Alvin Franklin, because Alvin's out for the game. He must have missed a few games during the year. So more toward the bottom. There's the free throw range. Oh my gosh, 2 to 4 and 11. Oh my gosh, Brian Williams is quite awful from the free throw line. 2 to 6 and 11. Is there a better one? 2 to 6. Houston was a really poor foul shooting team. 2 to 7 and 12. Benny Anders. Akeem's 2 to 7. 2 to 6 and 8 for Larry Michow. But anyway, there's free throws as a 3-point opportunity. In the modern game, if there's a 3-point shot on the offensive column, you probably go to that range and shoot a 3. I've only done that with NC State of 83, where they actually had Sidney Lowe took a few threes in the ACC that year. But eventually, of course, everybody shoots threes now. So if you've got a new modern season, you do that. And they also have an assist rating. If you can't get the assist naturally on a offensive column, you can get a passive assist after a basket is made. So that is the simplicity of the cards. The cards aren't super huge. They're about the same size as a Hoops Tabletop Pro Basketball card. You can see that they're a bit smaller than the bank shot card, which we'll get into now. The bank shot card, a team typically comes with, instead of a team defensive card, they give you this general assignment card with a fast break rating, the fast break defense. So say you're playing a team with a fast break offensive A, like Georgetown here, and you face a team with fast break defensive -1, that means that team's fast break will be a B for this particular game. So that's a kind of a nice little innovation. You do utilize the fast break in this game quite often, but quite often you also get, what's this result? Held up. What's this result? Basket by the F2. And a little caveat though, but if your fast break rating is an E, it's held up. Sometimes it'll be fast break rating is an E, you turn the ball over, that type of thing. So the stronger your fast break, the more you're going to complete, the more chances you're going to score on the fast break. But anyway, they also have a pace. This refers to the counting of these cards we noted earlier, 70 per every 10 minutes. You take two teams and average their pace, say Georgetown's a -3 and North Carolina's a -1. That equals a -4, so you'd only have 66 cards per every 10 minutes versus 70. It could go the other direction, though. Say you're LMU, Loyola Marymount. My set has the team that scored 122 points a game, and it's got a +11. So you're going to have 81, -3, 78 if you're playing Georgetown per every 10 minutes of play. So you got to do a little figuring, a little bit of counting, whereas the cards here, you just get up and go. You don't have to make any adjustments for the game. You just play because the team's pace is built into the cards, where this one is built into the action deck. Anyway, you get a player like Patrick Ewing here. And the one thing that stands out, just like the game box, just like these beautiful cards here, the color, the glossiness, the quality, very high. I got 110 pound card stock here, but still they're kind of plain and nondescript, but very effective. I don't like to knock games that are fun for having a little less exciting card. You can only fun versus non-fun is the bottom line, but I do give a little bit of kudos to Joe here because these cards are very nice. They include the center, the position, the height, what year of card is, what team it is. So if you're like trying to do some draft teams or something and you want to get your teams at the end of the day, you want to put all your teams back together, it's 88 Georgetown, not 86 Georgetown or 84 Georgetown or 1980 Georgetown. This is 84 Georgetown. There's a free throw column, an offensive column, and a shot range. That just is in particular cases where I don't know if it's awarding assists. I still have to read up on that, but that's just kind of a scoring range that they get. Usually the top scorers on the team have the highest numbers there. But you have a 0 to 99 range on both offense and on defense. So on offense, you have all these options, much like CB2K. You can get an assist, a foul while shooting. And this is where it kind of becomes a status pro type of game. Say you got fouled while shooting, and then you're going to turn the next card to find out and use this middle row. And you're going to find out whether it's a 3-point field goal made, a 2-point field goal made, a 3-point field goal missed, or a 2-point field goal missed. So I'll just say I'm not using the dice method. And I roll a 3 on my percentage dice. It's 0 to 47, 2-point field goal for Patrick Ewing. So not only does he make the shot, he will get a chance to shoot a free throw. And I'm going to put that one aside. And his free throw on the dice is 18. So you look here, and it's a little somewhat convoluted if you're not used to it, but you can see 14 to 28, 18's in that range, and there's a G right there. So that free throw is good. Let's just say Patrick Ewing is guarded by the defender on this card. Or let's just say he's the defender on this particular play. So you could say Olajuwon got the ball or something like that, but it's defender's card. So you're going to use Patrick again, and you're going to be looking down here at the defensive card. There could be a miss. There could be a blocked shot. 35 to 73. He's got a pretty good block shot range, as Patrick Ewing should. It's based on his block shots per game on the year if blocks were available during that particular season. It's also got his foul while shooting, also baskets, and whether there was an assist on that basket, which you turn another card to determine who gets the assist. But let's just say Patrick's playing defense here, and I roll a 29. I get the 29. On his card is going to be he forced a missed shot. And so that missed shot generally is a 2-point attempt. There's a chance not getting into it deeply, that could be a 3-point attempt by the opponent. But most likely being a center, not the case. But anyway, you go down the card. So you got the yellow columns to determine where a foul while shooting goes in most of the time. There's turnovers, offensive fouls on offense. There's turnovers and steals on defense. So that's when you refer not only to the 0 to 99 card, but you look at the 2d6 card if you're rolling dice, or if you're looking at another one of these. And you'll see the 2d6 number is a 2, and that's not in the 4 to 7 range of Patrick Ewing. So he forces a turnover, but he does not get a steal. So that's kind of how the cards work. But look at the beautiful colors. You can tell this is Georgetown's general colors, kind of that dark navy blue. Michael Jackson, Ralph Dalton, very easy to read, good size fonts. You compare the cards side by side and you just go, wow, which one of these jumps off the page more? I will say the PDF one is extremely clear. It's black type on a white cardstock. Very simple to read. Very few results to look up. And you need these bank shot ones to be clear. If these cards were very small fonts, if they were unclear, because you're going to be reading these ranges all game long. Bank shot is a card flipping game. It's definitely a little bit rooted in like these status pro type game where you are looking for the random number or the rolled dice random number, and you're going to be looking at these columns, you're going to be looking at these columns, and every once in a while on a foul while shooting, you'll be looking at that yellow column right down the middle. So you got to be prepared for that, and that's where you build up your game speed and game flow with those cards. So either way, CB2K, as I've been saying the last couple days, no frills, but a fun basketball game. Bank shot, all the frills, still a fun basketball game, but each game has a different approach to how offense and defense is played. One of the most overlooked things in tabletop basketball games, in my opinion, is the look of the footprint of the player cards, the game boards, the charts, everything that is important to your setup when you're going to play a game for an hour and a half, 2.5 hours. Now, I'm going to look at Bankshot Basketball's footprint right here. You can see that I'm using the 10-man game board. There's that 20-man one I mentioned earlier. And you can see there's 10 cards. They're all very small sized. I could take this board out and I can almost scrunch them back together if I really wanted to. But overall, this is a sharp looking setup. There are 2 huge decks of cards right here, as you can see. And you're going to be flipping this one for possession. You're going to be flipping this one if you're doing the non-dice method. If you're using the dice method, like this, you might need to find another place in your footprint to roll it, or put it in a small box or something of that nature, because those dice are going to go everywhere and you're going to do a lot of dice rolls. And in trade, you're going to be using less fast break cards when you do the dice roll. So if you're going to do a dice roll method, I would definitely suggest getting a little dice tray or a little cardboard tray or something like that. No big deal. But you're going to use 2 D6s. There's also 1 D6 if you need it. And there's also 2 10-sided dice as well. And those will be your 0 to 99 results. So, and that's the way I've been playing it. I've found that actually works pretty well for me. There are other people, like I say, Status Pro Joe, my friend, he is used to all cards, and so he started playing hoops. Status Pro, all with cards, converted to bank shot, went with some dice. He's enjoying the dice and cards combination as well. So, it's just a different style for different folks. These cards, there's always those card games, and then there's card and dice games. So I'm always been a dice guy. So I'm going to be rolling these things probably in every game I play, including an upcoming video I will have with Replay Basketball. I will preview the look of that box right there. Look at that thing. And I noticed with this box, this is an aside, this is a departure from our review here, but this is a nice brown box with like that leather-like feel. I noticed a box by Pops, who was doing a Replay Basketball review. He bought the dice and the no dice versions, and his box got a white border all around. I think this one's far more attractive. It looks like a rich Corinthian leather or something like that. But anyhow, replay. That'll be another review and a gameplay down the road. So I'm working on that. I want to get to that, but I wanted to do this today. But anyway, this is an attractive footprint. It's not very big, but once again, like I say, if you're doing no dice, you're probably all set. But if you want to do dice, with no dice, with the dice method though, you can almost take half of these cards off, so it makes it a little less arduous. You can move them to another portion of the board because you're not going to be using them as much, because this will take the place of the percentage dice number, the D6, and the 2D6 numbers. So you're using it mostly for fast breaks. So, and jump balls, but that's not too often either. But anyway, I'm a dice guy, so that's the way I would roll. And you have a G1, G2 over here, F1, F2 over here, center in the middle. I didn't really notice that Jamal Mashburn for the 1991-92 Kentucky Wildcats was actually played kind of a center position, but I looked at their roster and there's not a lot of other people that could play it. And he's listed as a center by Joe Bryan, so they must know what's going on. But this is a fantastic Georgetown team, and this is how this would play out. And I've got my benches off screen here, but I noticed these are the reserves you pull from, so that'll add a little bit to your footprint if you have a small gaming table. If not, but this is not a bad setup. This is not a bad size. I've seen other ones where you've got to have upright boards way off screen here that show the charts. I think replay will be a little bit like that way. That I'm going to have to suspend a couple boards up to do the lookups, especially initially when I don't know the results of certain numbers on the player offensive cards. Well, I've strayed away from the topic of footprint long enough. Let's take a look at the footprint for CB2K. So this is CB2K Basketball by Andy Vecellio. As you can see, the layout is very simple, very nice. I could take this, the team defensive cards, I could put them on the sides here if I want to make a longer strip. I put them up there so I can almost fit them all in this frame very easily. If I wanted to have a little scoreboard, like when I broadcast a game, I can put it right there, or I could put it right here. We also have to have the fast action cards, but those are very small and very simple. 100 per half. And you can see how small they are. They flip out of my hands every once in a while, but that is pretty much everything you need. I have my score sheet a little bit off screen, but the footprint really width-wise is almost the same. It's probably, with the exception of these cards, a little thinner, but not really that much. There's a lot less to do, though. You're not babysitting a lot of flipping on each side, so that's just more of a game flow thing you're going to have to get used to. With bank shot, this is always going to be simple. This is going to be, give the ball to the center. And then what's the center going to do with it? He's going to use the team defensive card. So you go to the team defensive card of the opposing team, which would be Georgia's team defensive card. You roll 7 basket. 2 points for Lorenzo Charles. So that's how quick it goes. And you go back to the small forward, Lamar Hurd. Lamar Hurd, team defense once again, and be the team defense of North Carolina State. That's a 5. Offensive foul, Lamar Hurd. That's how quick this game can play. And so that is one of the things. Flow will be a topic I'm just going to get into right about now. I find with this game and its group of teams available, Andy Vecellio has set up on the ASG Games site plenty of, especially in the past, mostly before the year 2000, let's say, a lot of historic Final Four type sets. This is 1983, where I got Louisville, Houston, Georgia, and NC State, the 4 teams that met in the Final Four for the NCAA championship. And just a lot of those, most of those are in PDF format as well. The best part, and just remember, this is the best part, say you invested $7 like I did in this Final Four grouping here. Well, the PDF comes over, and it also includes the PDF for all of your FAC cards. So you got to go to, get these printed out. I put 110-pound cardstock on these, and they work just great. But I had to I cut these myself. I cut all of these myself. So if you're not into cutting, maybe this isn't the set for you. But as you know, both with bank shot and with CB2K here, PDFs go for a fraction of what the printed go for. So if you only want to do a few teams, do a test sample of CB2K, you can do it extremely inexpensively. Bankshot, on the other hand, they have got fewer sets out right now, but they are in the process of putting together. They've got college set 1, 2, and 3, currently working on sets 4 and 5, and each one of those sets has 30 NCAA teams. And of course, I haven't brought it up as much because we're doing kind of a college basketball comparison here, but they have NBA seasons as well, and they're going to be coming out with 1988 and 89 NBA. They already have a handful of them, the current season, of course, and a couple classic seasons, including 1961, 62, and I can't remember if it's 1984, 85 as well. But you can sample both kinds of game. And the best part about Bankshot is you use basically the same card turning, the same methodologies. You just change the amount of time and the number of team fouls, and you suddenly go from an NCAA game to an NBA game, just like that. So, but anyway, looking at these footprints, I'd give them almost an equal. Obviously, the Bankshot one I had showed you, that one is incredibly pretty. It's just colorful. It pops out of the screen, and the cards are very readable. Both sides of these cards are extremely readable, and I enjoy that fact because I'm a product of trying out pro table games basketball last year, and those cards on certain seasons had the smallest fonts around, and they were just like a arduous task to try to read some of those cards. Had to get a magnifying glass or some glasses on, and of course that's my own parting shot with Stratomatic, and Stratomatic people don't like it, but those fonts have got to change, and why aren't you integrating your 3-point shot into your player cards instead of making it a separate rating? You should have figured this out by now. But anyway, I digress. The next thing I'd like to talk about is game flow and game time with these games. And as you've seen, I was looking at the CB2K board. They got a very nicely set up footprint and only 100 FAC cards. And you fly through those. If you've seen the last couple of games I've played, you pretty much fly through those games. You can get a game, I would guess, if you really went with it and you did minimal stats, you could probably finish a CB2K regular game, because it's just 40 minutes, not 48 like NBA, in under an hour with ease. If you just put your nose to the grindstone. I always take my time a little bit more and keep full stats, and it takes a little bit longer. But it's a fast moving game, and that's appealing to people. It's been around 10 to 15 years at least, and it's a very solid game. Bankshot's the new kid on the block, and it has it's taken me a while to get the flow down. And traditionally, I am not a status pro type person where you read dice ranges and have to look up things. It's usually an instant result. So it's taken me a while to get there. I will say that my opinion of this game improved once I started using the dice, because I wasn't flipping I was flipping about half as many cards. I wasn't going through this fast break deck like it was going out of style. So anyhow, let's do a play here. Let's just say this is our play. Center, Patrick Ewing at the ball. Defender, the F1, which is Gimel Martinez. And Martinez, so you can use his defensive column. He's guarding a taller man. Let's see what happens here. And I got a 0-2. So a 0-2 on Martinez says miss. So that's as simple as that. A missed shot for Patrick Ewing. And if this had been a 3-point shooting era, well, there is let's see, is there a missed 3-point attempt? Just checking. Yeah, 3-point attempt. If this had been Guillermo Martinez shooting the ball, there's a 3-point attempt 2-4, and I'd look at this die right here, and if it was 2-4, it would have been a missed 3-pointer had Martinez been the offensive player. But obviously Ewing was the offensive player, and he didn't make any 3-pointers on the year, so I knew I didn't have to worry about that. But anyway, Patrick Ewing, he's missed the shot. You go for the rebound, and it says loose ball foul. And so, according to the rules, you turn one card for a loose ball foul, and it says defensive center. So on the rebound, Jamal Masburn gets a defensive foul. Georgetown maintains possession, you get another play. You get, and it says actually in the rules to use the same card on a loose ball foul that you looked up who got the foul. So we're going to do that. Center, defense F2 this time. Whoops. It is actually Patrick Ewing's ball because it's shaded. You get the dice out one more time. And I roll a 56. A 56 on Patrick Ewing's offensive card is 55 to 67 is a turnover. And I also, though, all with a 2D, I rolled an 8. And it says right there, offensive foul 8. Boy, I haven't played this game in a while. I forgot how fun that was. But anyway, Patrick Ewing commits an offensive foul. He's got his first foul, and that would set the tone for a game like this, a 40-minute game, and you only get 5 in college. You don't want Patrick Ewing to have one foul in the first or second play of the game. Let's do one more play here. You got a B1, and players with B1 are players that get the ball more than the typical player, and you search around. There's not one there, not one there. There's a B3 on Jamal Mashburn, but so none of them qualify. So instead of the B1, you go to the F1, and it's Martinez. And now he gets to use his offensive ability. And I just dropped my die. What's Martinez going to do now? 0-3. So 0-3 is a basket. And here is that weird basket thing again. And if I'd rolled a 2 with the 2 dice, that would have been a 3-point basket. And a 0-3 also counts. It says 0-11A, which means an assist has been awarded. So not only did he get a basket, it was assisted by someone like center if he's a 10 assist or higher. So Mashburn on the assist is only a 5. So there is no assist on the play. We go back to Georgetown. We go to G1. Michael Jackson, not that Michael Jackson, and it's the defender's card. So we get out the dice one more time. I need to get my better dice rolling thing. And there's a 0-3 again. Boy, I'm rolling a lot of zeros. 0-3, and that's a defender card, 0-3, and 0-31 is a basket. This guy's not a defensive specialist per se. And so, and they also is in the assist range, 0-13. So not only does Michael Jackson score, there's an assist by the F1. And if the F1 had scored, you go with the G1. But the F1 is Michael Graham gets the assist. Back this way, G2, Richie Farmer. Richie Farmer. And he will be shooting the ball. And I roll a 43 on Richie Farmer. And that's a turnover. And if I rolled a 6 on the 2D, if it was a 2-4, it would have been a turnover offensive foul. But even so, you look at that 6 because it's a turnover. If it's not an offensive foul, you refer to the defender, which was his exact defensive player here. And you look at that 6 and see if it's in the steal range. And you see that Fred Brown's steal range is 2-8. So that counts as a steal for Fred Brown. Now, the other thing would have been, you look at his turnover range, it's 78 to 99. If I'd rolled a 99, Fred Brown could run the fast break for Georgetown. But he didn't do so. But anyway, that's how the games flow. Both of them flow pretty well. It'd been a few days since I'd played this bank shot game, and I get a little bit better each time playing the game, and I keep getting good tips from players like Joe Brooks who have fallen in love with the game, and I can see why, because there's some real attractive features to it. There's some real classic teams, particularly this series of college set 01, 02, 03, and on, in addition to some NBA teams. And once again, Bankshot is incredibly reasonable in PDF format if you're into doing the work to cut out every one of those cards. I would suggest you don't want to cut out you don't want to get a PDF of the action and fast break decks. These decks are endless and huge, and you'd never get the beauty of the nice color on the front and color on the back probably, unless you really want to pay a mint for color copies. So anyhow, that is what the game flow looks like. Bankshot is going to take longer. That's just flat out. It's just going to take a little bit longer. You're flipping a few more cards. You're doing a few more dice. It might not take a lot longer with practice, though. I don't want to be definitive on that because it just has a few more moving parts. And CB2K is a little less detailed. Like I say, it doesn't have block shots. This thing has everything you want. And if you don't want to keep track of turnovers and assists and things like that, this game of bank shot would be even faster. But you could see I had to do little lookups in order to make things work. But at the same time, this game flows smoothly, and I enjoy it. I also I was looking at a video of Joe's previous game, SSG Basketball, and I always think this game is worlds ahead of that. I think that's probably maybe one of the reasons he moved on. That game is a little bit clunky and lacks a little bit of flow, and I'm not trying to bash it too much, but this game is an improvement. This is definitely a game to look out for, and I'm glad he came out with this in 2023 because there's always room in our hobby for a new basketball game, and I think this one is going to be great. It already is a very solid game and very playable. Let's talk about accuracy and the pluses and minuses to each one of these games. It's a little too early to tell how accurate either bank shot or CB2K is. Accuracy is kind of a relative term. I was raised on an accurate basketball simulation known as Fast Break Pro Basketball by Jim Mickey, 1974 to 1987. And the game was very, very accurate. I played a couple seasons of my favorite teams, typically the Portland Trail Blazers, and the field goal percentage, the free throw percentage, the rebounds, the assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, points per game, everything. When I played the players relatively close, not even trying very hard, the stats came through with flying colors. And I know that Hoops Tabletop Pro Basketball by Mark Vecellio goes through thousands of game tests to make sure that their game is accurate in all statistical category. Of course, ultimately, you want the win-loss percentages of each of the teams to be statistically accurate as well. Well, when it comes to these college teams, what do we have here? We're not grabbing the entire Pacific Pac-10 Conference or Atlantic Coast Conference. We're getting a spattering of teams. So what kind of accuracy are you looking for? You want some relative accuracy based on how good these players were in relation to the teams you are playing. Because, say, with this historic Final Four here for CB2K, I can't say if I played 30 games between these two teams that their stats would be accurate because you're playing elite teams. These teams face off against good teams, mediocre teams, and very average teams during their seasons. So it's very difficult to weigh in on what a college basketball simulation would be. Amazingly, you can get all the teams for 2022, 2023 in CB2K. You can get them printed out. I think it's $150. You can get like every conference, every major Division I team. I mean, that's not going to have your Division II or Division III teams that they do preseason games against, but you could actually field that. You could actually play maybe a Pac-10, Pac-12 schedule, whatever, or ACC schedule or Big Ten, just all that kind of thing. So, but accuracy, I feel that both of these games are really solid in accuracy. I feel like when I was playing Houston and Louisville in my last game, that I felt the strengths and the weaknesses were evident with both teams. I really felt like that was it. The bank shot basketball cards, as I've shown, have plenty of character, and you can see exactly what they did turnover-wise, foul shooting-wise, block shot-wise, steal-wise. It's got every little stat, and it takes a little bit longer to parse that information out of a card, maybe an extra 2 seconds in order to get that information, and that'll delay a little bit of the game time when you're playing it. But if you want to check out every single stat, you can. Some of the early gameplays of bank shot, I was noticing an efficiency and a little bit in assists and steals, but you know what it was? It was player error. You got to read those instructions front and back. I couldn't believe when I started playing. It's like, oh, I got to do an assist on that. Oh, I got to check for a steal on that defensive column if it's a turnover and it's not an offensive foul. There's a lot of little workarounds. It's not going to come to you overnight with bank shot basketball, but once you get it, you'll have all of the stats, and they will be relatively close. I was even missing assists on fast breaks in the last game, and I'd already played 3 or 4 games, and it just slipped my mind. Sometimes that just occurs when you're doing broadcast, and you just forget about a couple things, or mispronounce a name, or roll a dice, or give a block shot to the wrong guy on the wrong team, or give the rebound to the wrong team. That stuff happens. But Bank Shot is a pretty simple game overall, but there are some intricacies, and it does have some complexity. I'd say CB2K is the slightly simpler game. If you're wanting for the simplest, quickest results, this might be the game. Bank Shot, though, is in its own right a different style of game with the number ranges that you look at, and it's fun to see what's on those number ranges. I really enjoy that game as well. So I'm kind of like flip-flopping on what game I may like better. I think I like each game for different reasons. And so I'm hoping that this video gives you a perspective on what you like in a basketball game. Play the games you like. Don't play the game I like. This is not the game I'd like you to like. I'd like you to make your own choices and make an informed decision. If you're into a game with flashy cards and flashy FACs and player team cards and colorful boards and a beautiful game box, Bank Shot's right up your alley if you like a game with numeric ranges like Status Pro. But if you're just into simplicity and you want some results and you want to save a buck or two and quickly print out some FACs and some cards, this is CB2K is the way you'd probably want to go. If you like that, if you like Fast Break, and if you like hoops, you might like CB2K better than Bank Shot. If you like Status Pro, Bank Shot will probably be your game instantly, because this game is a modernized version. I've always kind of knocked, Status Pro kind of went out of business and people have had to carry the ball for it. So I appreciate modernization in that game, even though I haven't played it a lot. There's so many games in the market. It's not like I don't like the game, but I've got about 11, 12, 13 games of my own, and I don't really have time for it. And Stratomatic's the same way. It's a dated game engine that I'm not going to play as much. I own it. I own a season. I own a great season, 1990-91. I've also don't own a 65-66 Stratomatic, and the cards are beautiful. The design is really cool, but the game does take a while for me. It's just not my easiest game to play. So especially it'd be a very difficult game to broadcast. Not to say that I won't do that in the future. I probably will, because I like that game. I might play my 91 Trailblazers or something, but tougher games take a little bit more time. And in this case, I'm not going to be taking a little bit of time, especially over the holidays. It'd probably be next year before I break out a Stratomatic basketball game. Good game, well designed, and just a little slower for me because of the way it's made up. So final conclusions on these two very good basketball simulations. CB2K is the ultimate probably for the pure college fan, because 99% of their material is NCAA basketball. They have it in PDF form, really reasonably priced. You just got to get out your guillotine cutter and cut away. They've also got some print versions for a lot of their recent materials. So if you really want printed FACs and printed cards, they definitely have some recent stuff that can satisfy that need. And you can buy by the conference, you can buy by Sweet 16, Top 32, Elite 8. You can choose your price point basically that way and play those games the way you want. Bank Shot, once again, it's still in its infancy stages. It's still creating seasons. Joe Bryan's going to work. He says he's going to keep working on those college seasons, or not seasons, they're just sets of random teams, which I kind of like. And he's not picking just the number one champions every time either. With he and ST Patrick, they're putting together, I'm going to still say an eclectic choice of teams. They're not all great teams. They're mediocre teams. There's teams that were just 500. They'll have an occasional team that went 2-26 or 0-28. And it's really kind of cool. The teams are kind of fun. I picked up 30 teams, and that's going to satisfy me for a long time. I know other people that have bought set 1, set 2, set 3, and they're just enjoying playing these classic college teams of the past. College basketball is a new addition to my collection. Now, I had a few PTG basketball teams that I picked up from Keith in the last couple years. I'm really new to the college simulation and game, but I enjoy it whenever I play it. And back in my day when I was around fast break basketball, there really wasn't a lot out there to choose from. PTG is a new addition to me, and I'd play some college games with that. In a future video, there's a game called Classic College and Pro Basketball. And that's how the game box looks. Well, I don't know anything about this. I got this game sent to me a couple years back from a great game player named Ralph. He's from New York. But anyway, the funny thing I found when I finally opened this box just a couple weeks ago, look at the game cards. Look at these little guys. But anyway, they're colorful. They got some nice print and some nice color. You can see that they're even smaller than the average size for a bank shot card. But once again, the field of college basketball games is still slightly narrow. And I want to try this game eventually, and I'd probably do a review of it. That'll be a fun project, but that's just not for this time or date, but we definitely will get to it down the road. Once again, if you want something that's established and available now, CB2K is a great option. If you want something that is on the rise, continuing to make sets, fully active at making sets, just like CB2K, but still working on the sets as we speak, Joe is cranking out these sets in rapid manner. So give him 3 to 6 months, and you might have a collection that you'd be very proud of playing bank shot. And it obviously is the more pretty of the two games. So I don't really want to give an opinion because I'm still learning these games. I'm 6 games or so into each of these games. I really haven't played a ton, and I've made mistakes in my early games that I continue to correct as I play game after game after game. So both fun games. Bank shot took a little bit longer for me to acquire a taste for, and I'm very happy that I got this game now. I paid a little bit extra money because I got everything printed. I got 30 teams, probably 450 cards, 2 huge pre-cut bank shot basketball decks here with action fast break decks, playing boards, beautiful game box. Can't complain a bit about bank shot. And I took a little risk, and I'm very happy with it. I also acquired CB2K on the cheap, partially because I'd always known it was out there, but I just wasn't crazy about a game that didn't have block shots. That's probably one of the few things that I can say about CB2K. They didn't have built-in block shots, so I kind of made a little schematic to get player block shots off the team defensive cards, which is kind of a poor man's shot blocking. The shot is missed no matter what. As far as bank shot is concerned, I mean, the only thing that they've been struggling a little bit with since its inception was the number of action deck cards to use for every quarter in NBA or every half of a half, 10 minutes in NCAA. They're starting to lock that down. The more games we play, the more we'll know about it, but it's just a mechanism in Joe's game that I think is easily correctable if there is a problem without having to change any of the game results, any of the action deck markings or anything. So that's just a matter of time. But thank you for watching this video. I think these are 2 fantastic games if you want to play some college basketball. There's just no getting around seeing a new game like Joe's come out to pair with CB2K. They're both great. They're probably at the top of the class for college basketball games already. So anyway, you heard it here first at Rod's Tabletop Hoops. Everybody have a good day, and thanks again for watching.